Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US government shutdown enters its third week as Senate rejects Republican funding bill for the 8th attempt. Hamas hands over 4 more bodies of hostages after Israel threatens aid cut. Trump issues stern warning to Hamas, says it must disarm. Fed Chair Powell flags rising employment risks in the US, noting a sharp slowdown of job creation as private sector figures lay bare slowdown in hiring on September. Supreme Court allows sale use of green firecrackers in Delhi-NCR during Diwali, but with conditions. The US Senate on Tuesday rejected a potential funding deal for the 8th time, guaranteeing that the government shutdown that has caused disruptions in services across the country will continue. US President Donald Trump said his administration planned to produce a list on Friday of Democrat programs that will be closed as a result of the ongoing federal government shutdown. Speaking to reporters on Tuesday, Trump promised to use the shutdown as an opportunity to exert more leverage over federal spending.
Programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being able, and they're never going to come back in many cases. So we're being able to do things that we were unable to do before. So we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen. And now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back.
Meanwhile, the Senate failed in its 8th attempt to pass legislation approved last month by the House of Representatives that would end the shutdown by providing government funding through November 21st. The Senate voted 49 to 45 to advance the bill, short of the 60 yes votes needed in the 100-member Senate controlled by Republicans. The government shutdown entered its third week with Republican and Democratic lawmakers continuing to blame each other for the impasse. The number of US federal worker layoffs as a result of the government shutdown was revised downward on Tuesday, suggesting the Trump administration's initial statement about sweeping job cuts was too ambitious. The Trump administration has dismissed more than 4,100 employees since 1st of October, the day the US government shutdown began. The Justice Department last week in a separate court filing estimated the figure was at least 4,200. President Donald Trump blamed the cuts on the US government shutdown. The government is closed because Trump and lawmakers have failed to agree on a spending plan for federal agencies. Trump is trying to pressure Democrats into accepting his spending plan by firing federal workers and cutting programs he says Democrats favor. The US and China on Tuesday began charging additional port fees on ocean shipping firms that move everything from holiday toys to crude oil, making the high seas a key front in the trade war between the world's 2 largest economies. A return to an all-out trade war appeared imminent last week after China announced a major expansion of its rare earths export controls and President Donald Trump threatened to raise tariffs on Chinese goods to triple digits. But after the weekend, both sides sought to reassure traders and investors, highlighting cooperation between their negotiating teams and the possibility they could find a way forward. China said it had started to collect the special charges on US-owned, operated, built or flagged vessels, but clarified that Chinese-built ships would be exempted from the levies. Similar to the US plan, the new China-imposed fees would be collected at the first port of entry on a single voyage or for the first 5 voyages within a year. Also, US President Donald Trump was considering terminating some trade ties with China, including in relation to cooking oil. China has sharply reduced US soybean purchases, which Trump has called a negotiation tactic. Trump said this month he hopes to discuss soybeans with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, while also warning the US may halt a large share of imports from China. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell on Tuesday said that the US economy may be on a firmer footing, but warns the job market remains fragile. Speaking at a business economics conference in Philadelphia, Powell described a growing tension. Economic growth appears stronger, yet hiring has stalled. With official data disrupted by the government shutdown, the Fed plans to decide on future rate cuts, meeting by meeting. Inflation remains above target, but weak employment raises new concerns. Powell emphasized there is no risk-free path as the Fed balances inflation control with job protection.
That the outlook for employment and inflation does not appear to have changed much since our September meeting 4 weeks ago. There is no risk-free path for policy as we navigate the tension between our employment and inflation goals. This challenge was evident in the dispersion of committee participants' projections at the September meeting. And I'll stress again that these projections should be understood as representing a range of potential outcomes whose probabilities evolve as new information informs our meeting-by-meeting approach to policymaking. We'll set policy based on the evolution of the economic outlook and the balance of risks rather than following a predetermined path.
Hamas handed over more bodies of deceased hostages to Israel on Tuesday since US President Donald Trump touted his plan to end the Gaza conflict. The bodies were returned after Israel announced it would cut in half the number of humanitarian aid trucks allowed into Gaza in a move to punish Hamas. Meanwhile, re-emergent Hamas fighters demonstrated they were reasserting control in Gaza by deploying hundreds of security forces in the streets and executing several people they accused of collaborating with Israel. The outlook for Trump's peace plan darkened further when the president threatened Hamas with military strikes unless the militant group disarmed.
I don't have to explain that to you. But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games. Okay? Now, we did something monumental. We got the hostages back. That was the first thing we had to do. Above all else, get the hostages back. Now, they misrepresented because we were told they had 26, 24 of dead hostages, if we can use those terms. And it seems as though they don't have that.
France's Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu will face the confidence votes known as censure votes on Thursday. Opposition parties on the far right and far left are demanding parliamentary elections. The socialists said they would be prepared to support the new government, but only if it promises to complete suspension of Macron's pension changes. Lecornu told Parliament on Tuesday that he backs suspending controversial 2023 pension reforms under which retirement age was proposed to be raised from 62 to 64. Lecornu was reappointed Prime Minister last week, only 4 days after he resigned, and needs the support of socialist MPs in Parliament in fact, if his government is to survive. And Peruvian President Jose Herri swore in the first members of his cabinet on Tuesday and named retired police general as interior minister to oversee his war against crime. Jose Herri assumed the presidency last week after Parliament voted to impeach unpopular leader Dina Boluarte. Herri named Vicente Tiburcio as his interior minister and appointed lawyer Ernesto Alvarez as the head of his 19-member cabinet, which includes 4 women. The government said in a statement, Tiburcio was chosen for his experience in fighting organized crime, drug trafficking and terrorism. Herri had vowed to tackle a wave of extortion and murder that has plagued Peru in recent years. He warned gang leaders that if they continue controlling our streets from the prisons, we will act with more determination. Peru will hold scheduled presidential elections next year when Boluarte's term would have ended. She faces multiple investigations for corruption and abuse of power. Madagascar is in political turmoil as the military seized control, dissolving most state institutions. The National Assembly, however, remains active and has voted to impeach President Ants Ratswell in defiance of his bid to dissolve the legislature from an undisclosed location. Ratswell fled the country amid weeks of protests by Gen Z over corruption, failing public services and governance crisis. Civil servants and trade unionists joined the large crowd in the capital in a fresh demonstration against Maxwell demanding his resignation. The United States urged all sides in Madagascar to find a peaceful solution that respects the constitution after an elite military unit took power. Under U.S. law, Washington is required to cut off aid to countries if it determines that military coups have taken place. Although President Donald Trump's administration has already severely cut U.S. assistance around the world. The United States provided around $32 million to Madagascar in the fiscal year that ended last month, led by health assistance, according to official U.S. data. Brazil, India, Italy and Japan vowed Tuesday to quadruple their production and consumption of renewable fuels, hoping other countries will join the pledge during UN climate talks in November. Brazilian Foreign Ministry official João Marcos Paes Leme said that he hopes to have a good number of signatories and other European countries are also interested. Paes Leme was speaking on the sidelines of a meeting of representatives from 67 countries in the run-up to COP30 climate talks in the Amazon city of Belém next month. The pledge involves quadrupling the production of sustainable fuels such as biofuels, hydrogen and some synthetic fuels by 2035 compared to 2024 levels. Paes Leme noted that these fuels can be used to replace planet-harming fossil fuels in sectors such as aviation, maritime transport or the cement and steel industries. To give a new cultural dimension to India-Russia relations, the sacred relics of Buddha have been brought to the Russian Republic of Kalmykia. In an event of profound spiritual and cultural significance, the holy relics were formally enshrined in Kalmykia. Thousands of devotees are thronging to see the relics. A special report from our correspondent from Elista.
Kalmykia is the only republic in Russia that is considered unique even in Europe, where Buddhists are in the majority. On a special request from Governor of Kalmykia, the Indian high-level delegation arrived in Elista on 11th of October with the sacred relics of Buddha. The sacred relics are enshrined for public veneration at the main Buddhist monastery in Elista.
Kalmykia राज्य के विश्वविद्यालय के अंदर वहाँ के सारे वाइस चांसलर से लेकर के प्रोफेसर से लेकर के स्टूडेंट तक सब एक साथ वहाँ पर बैठ करके सुन रहे हैं और ध्यान से सुन रहे हैं जब हम वहाँ कंगूर भेंट करने का काम कर रहे हैं। और जिस श्रद्धा भाव से उन्होंने कंगूर को ग्रहण करने का काम किया है वह भाव बहुत मुझे अच्छा लगा है और बहुत ही श्रद्धा से भरा रहा है और उनकी आस्था निश्चित तौर से अभिनंदनीय है और रूस के प्रत्येक नागरिक को भी और भारत के भी प्रत्येक नागरिक को और दुनिया के भी जो लोग हैं उनको भी भगवान बुद्ध की शरण में आना चाहिए।
Along with the sacred relics, the kangyurs have also been brought from India, which have been gifted by the Indian government to the Kalmykian Buddhist temples known as kuruls here, as well as to the Kalmykian University and Museum.
छोटे छोटे शहर जैसे एक अलिस्टा हो गया, कालमिकिया हो गया, बुरियातिया हो गया, बुद्धिस्ट जो ऑटोनोमस रिपब्लिक्स है, इनको भी यहाँ भी अगर लोग आके देखें तो आश्चर्यजनक स्थिति है। मतलब इतना सुंदर है कि वो कहना बड़ा मुश्किल है।
The holy relics are accompanied by a high-level delegation of senior Indian monks who are conducting blessings and religious services for the local devotees. Various events were organized for the Indian delegation, which was accorded warm welcome by the local community at various places. The exposition of the holy relics of Lord Buddha and Kalmykia is a landmark event that represents a historic homecoming of faith for the Kalmyk people. It stands as a powerful bridge of spiritual friendship between India and Russia, showcasing India's cultural diplomacy and the unifying power of the Buddha's teachings. Manju Meena's report from Elista for DD India.
And we are heading for a short break. You stay tuned to DD India.
This week on Defence Dynamics, India's defence momentum gathers force. From new missile deals and production lines to deeper naval cooperation with India, New Delhi's strategic partnerships are setting new benchmarks. Meanwhile, a Chinese move that could disrupt global defence supply chains, raising fresh concerns amongst major powers. plus Pakistan's growing unease as India-Afghanistan ties move towards a new phase of cooperation and trust. Catch it all this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Supreme Court has relaxed firecracker ban conditions in Delhi-NCR region ahead of Diwali and allowed bursting of green firecrackers from October 18 to October 21. Bursting of green firecrackers will be allowed from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on Diwali and again from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the evening. The apex court said it has to take a balanced approach, permitting bursting of green firecrackers in moderation while not compromising with the environment. The court ordered police authority to constitute patrolling team to keep an eye that only permitted products with QR codes are to be sold, while no firecrackers will be allowed in the Delhi-NCR region from the outside. In a strict action, the top court ordered that if fake firecrackers are found, the license be suspended. Meanwhile, to avert air pollution across Delhi-NCR with the advent of cold weather, the Commission for Air Quality Management has activated Stage 1 of the Graded Response Action Plan. The move comes amid forecasts from India Met Department and IITM predicting that pollution levels are likely to remain in the same category over the coming days. The committee has directed all concerned agencies in the NCR to implement, monitor and review the Stage 1 measures immediately to prevent further deterioration of air quality. All right, and DD India's Vikas Sarthi joins us live on this. Hi Vikas, what more can you tell us as the Supreme Court has relaxed firecracker ban conditions in Delhi-NCR region? And also Vikas, what are green firecrackers?
Right, Siddharth, so Supreme Court was of the opinion that there should be a balance between the air pollution issue and the season of festivity. The Supreme Court was of the opinion that as far as the prohibition is concerned, we have seen in the past few years that crackers from the neighboring state were smuggled in Delhi-NCR, and because of that there was no regulation. By giving that order, at least it can be ensured that only green crackers will be allowed within Delhi-NCR, and that also from very specific points. Supreme Court has said that these sales of green crackers will be done through identified specific points, and it is not that you can go to any shop and buy crackers. There will be some specific points where these sales will be allowed. Apart from it, court has also directed the state governments which are our neighbor Delhi-NCR, like Delhi, like Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, that they will also form squads which will go on those specific centers and ensure that there should be no sale of banned crackers, and there is a complete mechanism to ensure that only NEERI and PESO approved crackers be allowed. They have particular QR codes to ensure that the prohibited materials are not used in these crackers, and in fact if any person is found selling those prohibited crackers, their license should be suspended, immediately. Court has also directed to the state governments to ensure that air quality index data from 14th of October to 21st October is also collected to go into the details of those specific allegations which were made by some petitioners that crackers don't have any kind of impact on air quality index of Delhi-NCR. Right. So once you have these data of almost 14 days, then court will be in a position to better judge whether crackers contribute to Delhi air pollution or it is mostly consist of industrial pollution and agriculture, like we have seen stubble burning in the neighboring state. Those are major contributors. So that data will also be provided to the Supreme Court. The major takeaway of today's order is that firecrackers will be allowed from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and in the night 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on 2 days, on Diwali and a day before Diwali. Apart from it, no crackers will be allowed, whether green or conventional crackers. Those will not be allowed. Only on these two particular days within the specified time, people will be able to burst crackers, and that should be green crackers, certified green crackers by NEERI and PESO.
Vikas, do you have any information that what are green crackers? I mean, don't they pollute environment at all?
Right, so that in fact, Supreme Court, when hearing these issues almost 4-5 years before, it was pointed out that certain chemicals like barium, sodium, these are the chemicals which are dangerous for people at large, for environment and people at large, and there are certain chemicals which have been prohibited. So there is a permissible limit of potassium, sodium, all those chemicals, and certain chemicals have been banned completely. Like barium has been banned. That was the major contributor in air pollution and health hazard for public at large. So green crackers are those crackers where quantity of certain elements are specified, and some chemicals have been completely banned for using those crackers. And NERI is the agency which ensures that green crackers must not have those chemicals which have been prohibited by the Supreme Court order, particularly barium, copper. These kind of elements must not be there in green crackers.
Okay, Vikas, are there some steps being taken to inform people in the Delhi-NCR region, as to what qualifies for green crackers? Because the awareness is really necessary.
Well, that is the responsibility of the administration. Administration will ensure that apart from green crackers, no other crackers should be allowed. General people are not aware what are the green crackers and what are the conventional crackers. That is the completely responsibility of administration, and because of that reason, court has said that the state governments will form particular squads which will go to these points and will ensure that only green crackers are allowed. Green crackers have QR codes by which authorities can trace the manufacturer, the sale point. All these details are there in the QR code. So that is the responsibility of state government and the local administration.
Okay. Vikas, very quickly now, stage 1 of the graded response action plan is also activated in Delhi-NCR region. What is the update on that?
Well, we have seen that CAQM on the basis of different air quality index data, not only in Delhi but also in neighboring state also, decides whether GRAP 1, GRAP 2 or GRAP 3 must be introduced or not. So that is based on CAQM recommendation, as just mentioned, that on the basis of the air quality index for today and for the last few days, GRAP 1 has been introduced. So these are the graded response by Delhi-NCR. There is a particular task force which consists of not only officials from Delhi but neighboring state also. CAQM has that kind of commission which goes through the air quality data and decides whether GRAP 1 should be introduced or the harshest GRAP 3 or GRAP 4 should be introduced. So that is completely based on the air quality index. If air quality index gets poor in the coming days, then we will see harsher restrictions from the government, not only in Delhi but in neighboring state as well.
Okay, so there will be specific points for the crackers, and squads will go to check no illegal crackers are being sold. Also, the AQI from 14th to 18th, right, Vikas, will be monitored. All right, that's a wonderful information. Thanks for your analysis, Vikas. Thank you. We leave it there. India was elected to the United Nations Human Rights Council for the term 2026-28 for the 7th time today. India is among the 14 countries elected to serve on the Geneva-based UN Human Rights Council. India, Angola, Egypt, Mauritius, South Africa, Iraq, Pakistan, Vietnam, Estonia, Slovenia, Chile, Ecuador, Italy, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland were elected to 3-year terms beginning January 1st. The 47-member council can discuss human rights issues and adopt non-binding resolutions on abuses when it chooses. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, P. Harish, thanked all delegations for their overwhelming support. In a social media post, he said, and I quote, "This election reflects India's unwavering commitment to human rights and fundamental freedoms. We look forward to serve this objective during our tenure." The 2026 World Cup will be co-hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico. So far, 28 countries have qualified for the World Cup, scheduled to take place from 11th of June 2026 across 16 cities. Argentina, the world champions, are among those to have qualified, but there are still 20 spots to fill. The latest entry being Ivory Coast, making history by returning to the games after 12 years. The Elephants overcame Kenya 3-0 in their final qualifier on Tuesday to finish top of their group and secure a berth. Captain Frank Kessie had the reigning African champions ahead after 7 minutes, but they squandered a hatful of chances before Yan Diomande added a second in the 54th minute. Amad Diallo then buried a 84th minute free kick into the corner for the third goal amid a torrential downpour in Abidjan. Notably, the new format of the FIFA World Cup will feature 12 4-team groups and an extra knockout round, a round of 32. India's para-powerlifter Joby Matthew has won a bronze medal at the Parapowerlifting World Championships 2025 in Cairo, Egypt. Competing in the 65 kilograms Legend Masters category, Matthew recorded a total lift of 300 kilograms, successfully lifting 148 kilograms and 152 kilograms. With this, he has surpassed his personal best of 150 kilograms set just 2 months ago at the Beijing World Cup. This marks Joby Matthew's second World Championship medal following a bronze medal at Dubai 2023. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.